The time is 8 p.m. and you got myself Dealer here.
This is Coolhand. We are coming to you from the Tony's in Bedford Studios.
We got a heck of a show for you today. We got little 7 subsections. We're going to talk about the NFL Postseason hunt. We're going to talk about the Kareem Hunt situation, City of Oakland, MLB offseason moves, minor league baseball moves. We're going to talk about the NHL moves. So we're going to jump right into it. The National Football League is gearing up for a postseason run. And I just kind of want to get your take on it. What do you think?
Well, it really looks like some of the teams are really the cream of the crop. I mean, somebody's going to have to be the 6th seed in both the AFC and the NFC. It doesn't look like anybody wants to be. I mean, hell, the Browns still have a chance of making the playoffs. That's how crazy the league is right now. But, I mean, it's clearly the Saints, the Rams, the Chiefs, and the Cowboys, and the Patriots, and that's about it. Everybody else, I might throw the Chargers in there as well. They're a pretty good team. But everybody else is just absolute garbage.
Yeah, I think whatever the NFL season started off this year, that you would say that the Bears are making it, but the Packers weren't, everyone would be saying, you don't know football.
Yeah.
Unless you're a diehard, like, Mike Ditka fan. But
to be fair, they did also make the trade for Khalil Mack right before the season started, which has turned out to be unbelievable. The games he's actually played this year, he's been unreal. I had the Bears defense in my fantasy, so he scored me a lot of points. So thank you, John Gruden. But it's going to be a good playoffs. When we get to the into the divisional rounds, I mean, the divisional round games are going to be pretty darn good this year. The conference championship games might be amazing. I mean, that Rams-Saints game, especially if it's in New Orleans, is just going to be, I mean, that Chiefs-Rams game may be nothing compared to that game.
Yeah. I think that an underlying element that we talked about last postseason was that how the cold really does affect teams.
It does.
You know, it's a home field advantage for the Vikings. It's a home field advantage for the Packers.
Except the Vikings play indoors.
But you know what I'm saying? Whenever they're up in those stadiums, they're
right.
a little bit more adjusted to it.
Right.
Especially being a northern team.
You send the
Jaguars up there, right. And they're going to say, what's going on? And I think the Bears are one of those outdoor teams that might benefit from freezing over a team.
Well, I mean, look what they did to the Rams. The Rams couldn't do anything.
Yeah.
I mean, absolutely nothing. They looked like they didn't belong on the field that day, and they're arguably the second best team in football right now. So, but I mean, so did the Saints. They also had a rough time, and that was indoors here in Dallas.
Yep.
So,
speaking of something that didn't belong on the field, I saw something that didn't belong on the field in the NFL, and that was Seattle Seahawks' new highlighter uniforms.
Oh, man.
Did you see those horrible, horrible displays of a uniform?
The color rush has got to go. I'm done with it. I know they're trying to make it cool and new and modern and sell new jerseys and all these things. You know, hey, we have 16 games this year where we'll have 14 different jerseys. And it's too much. It's way overdone now. Those were awful. I mean, I think I watched a game a couple years ago where it was like ketchup versus mustard. That's how terrible the color rush uniforms were. I know I'm sounding very get off my lawn-ish right now, but
well, I think it's something that it's going to be kind of confusing for the casual football fan to understand, because here in a few years, Seattle's going to have their very own XFL football team. And with Seattle's pace right now, the Seahawks' pace of throwing out random jerseys, you're going to have a hard time for the casual football fan to know which one's the XFL team and which one's the NFL team.
You mean those color rush jerseys aren't the XFL jerseys?
You could have told me they weren't. I believe you.
I would have expected Vince McMahon to walk out at any moment when I was watching that game.
So we're moving on here. What do you think about the postseason odds for the Kansas City Chiefs?
I mean, I'm a big Pat Mahomes fan. I think he should already win the MVP. I know everybody's pulling for Drew Brees and all this, and like it's a lifetime award.
Yeah.
Well, it's not. It should be this year. And Patrick Mahomes is having a record-breaking type season. It hasn't just been good; it's been great. And We'll see. We'll see. Now, losing Kareem Hunt, they clearly show against the Ravens this weekend that they might miss him.
It was definitely a needed face-saving move by the Chiefs to move away from Hunt. He's got such a long track history of domestic and alcohol and rage that even since 2014, this thing has been building. They've been sending him to therapy, and it's not making him better.
Right. I mean, they almost have to do the Pac-Man Jones treatment on him.
Yeah.
Like, they're gonna have to. He's gonna have to have someone on him 24/7. Like, no, you don't do this. What are you doing?
Right.
Here's what we've really learned though: is don't let someone film it. Because look what happened to Ray Rice. I mean,
yeah.
I know Ray Rice was older. He's kind of towards the end of his career. So we'll see if Kareem Hunt actually comes back and actually does something here. But, I mean, he kicked the crap out of that woman. I mean, and he's an NFL football player.
Yeah. It definitely took a few men to hold him back, and he still slipped through. You know? I mean, he was in a rage. Yeah. And those cameras at the Metro, they see everything.
Right.
And you never know when it's recording. So you just gotta... They don't understand it, that they're held to the highest level, as should all of us.
Right. I mean, we should all be held to that standard, but if you're going to be out in the public eye, I mean, whether you think it's fair or not, you have to maintain a standard,
Yeah, a standard for today and a standard for tomorrow, too.
I mean, there are very few Manny Ramirez's in the world where people really don't care what he does.
Yeah. Speaking of which, he's still playing.
I heard about that. He bought a team. Is that correct, in Korea?
Yeah, and he's getting all the free sushi he wants.
Oh yeah.
So we're gonna move on here. More NFL news though, but a little bit off the Hunt. We're gonna talk about the city of Oakland. They're gonna go to the courtroom. They're taking the National Football League to the courtroom. They're suing them. They're saying their money is going to Las Vegas, the city of lost wages.
Well, here's one thing everybody needs to understand about Las Vegas. It has 500,000 people in it. Okay, that's not that small compared to most other. It's about the size of, I think, Milwaukee. Wow. Can you look up around where 500,000? Look up Las Vegas, what their population is, and then around where they sit. Las Vegas has been growing, but also, I'm not a new stadium guy. I'm still not 100% sold on the Rangers Stadium, but they needed a new stadium in Oakland. I mean, you can't be playing on a baseball field. It's the worst stadium in the game. Yep.
The current population for Las Vegas is 641,676 as of 2017.
Okay, and can you look up to see about where that ranks in U.S. population?
I sure can.
All right.
Yeah, I think that the Oakland Stadium, it's one of the worst. We just had a janitor get caught saying in a game in front of a lot of fans saying, "We have rats in the soda machines," in the middle of a game. The O.Co Coliseum is one of the worst stadiums. Nobody says, let's go on down to an Oakland Coliseum game.
Well, and I know they're talking about building a new stadium for them in baseball. I don't see it happening, but there are actually plans in place to actually build them a new baseball stadium. There's no way they'll be able to do baseball and football. And, yep.
So, Las Vegas is ranked 28th on every single American city population-wise.
Okay.
Number 27 is Oklahoma City, and number 29 is Louisville from Kentucky.
Huh. I guess Louisville's so close to Cincinnati, that's why they don't have a lot of stuff. But all the professional sports franchises right now have at least 30 teams. So they're top 30 in population.
And the city of Oakland has 425,195 people and is ranked 45th all-time population.
Yeah, but there's a lot of suburban, you got San Jose is kind of out in that area. And so it's more than just Oakland proper. It's more like
I think we're also seeing a difference in pricing there because the O.co, it's not a affordable area where they're at. I mean, and then there are certainly economically challenged people there who support their team but can't afford to see their team play. It's not one of the cheapest ones to go see.
Right. Well, and you also have San Francisco across the bay, with the diversity gap economically and socially that's in that area. It actually creates a division. And so people who can really afford to go to games go to Giants games.
Right.
And people who can't, they try to go to Oakland games, but it's really not that much cheaper. And it's a way more garbage stadium.
Giants games?
San Francisco
Giants.
Oh, that's right. I thought this was 49ers for a second there.
Well, they don't even play in San Francisco either. They play in Santa Clara. And so...
I did not know that.
And so... Oakland is just... It's not viable to have a team in both cities there anymore. It used to be. They used to be able to pull it off. Mm-hmm. But between the high taxes there and the cost of... Just the general cost of living in California, pretty much anywhere there, is so outrageous that people just can't afford it anymore. And we've had this discussion before about how high ticket prices have gotten. And
that's not including parking, concessions, etc.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's just, and if you're living in a lower funded area like Oakland is right now, Oakland and Detroit have a lot of similarities other than the cold. And, people just can't afford to go. Yeah. And it's just not a viable option for them anymore.
Coolhand, you mentioned the fans earlier. Oakland Raiders fans are, putting this delicately, not like any other fan base in the NFL. Like, they were described by the, I don't know his name.
It's called the black hole.
The black hole?
I mean, not even light escapes a black hole.
Yeah. And speaking of something about escaping, we have a team that's not able to escape their black hole of a stadium in Major League Baseball.
That's right.
Oh, don't even give me this topic right here drives me nuts.
So let me ask you this: have any of you guys been to the Tampa Bay Rays Stadium, Tropicana Field?
No.
It's called the Houston Astrodome. So yes.
It's officially called Tropicana Field, and I believe that it's hit its expiration date already. That the orange juice is expired. It's time to move on, Flappy Boys, but they're not.
That thing was expired when they built it.
Did you call them the Flappy Boys?
They're called the Tampa Bay Rays, so they're Flappy Boys. Yes.
You mean because they're not the cool Devil Rays anymore?
No, they're Flappy Boys. They're Happy Boys now. No devil. We can't say that.
We can't have devil because that's just what they're called.
Yeah, really.
That's a topic for another time. But
whenever I went to the Rays Stadium, the product on the field was less exciting than actually seeing the Rays touch tank. And I mean that. I wanted to go see the Rays touch tank, and the line for that was longer than it was for the concession stands.
Like I said, I've never been to the Tampa Bay Stadium, but I've seen it enough on TV to know that it's time to move on from these. This Alamo Dome in San Antonio is the same way.
Yep.
And they built that in 1994.
Wow.
And it is an absolutely garbage stadium. Absolute garbage.
Yeah, they built it as if they were 20 years in the past.
Yeah.
In the 90s. I mean, we see examples of really good 90s stadiums like Globe Life Park that doesn't seem like it was built in 94, but it was.
Oh, yeah. It's such a great... I love that stadium. It's got the modern look to it with the classic feel. And in Tampa, you can't keep playing in that stadium. You can't.
No, you can't.
If you want to survive as a franchise, you can't keep playing in that stadium. It's so awful. It's so hard to watch on TV. Like, one of the main attractions, especially at baseball. Baseball probably more so than any other sport. The stadium is part of the game.
Right.
Is actually part of the game. The dimensions in every other sport are pretty much set.
Yep.
In baseball, it depends on the stadium.
Right.
What's a home run and what's not a home run. What's, a ground rule double and what's not. And so it's such an attraction to go to the game.
Right.
And if you keep having these garbage stadiums, you're going to have garbage attendance.
Right.
Regardless. I mean, even when they were good.
Yeah, and another thing is that the prices are what does it, you know?
Right.
I mean, the prices to go see a Rays game are more expensive than to go see a Miami Marlins game. And Miami has a beautiful stadium.
Except for whatever that crap was in San Francisco.
Oh, thankfully it's gone.
Yeah, it's true.
Jeter went to the recycle bin with that.
He's like, no, this gotta go.
This is but it's in downtown Miami. You get to see the skyline from home plate. It's an absolutely gorgeous stadium with the roof closing and opening. You know, God can watch baseball if he wants. It can close off, you know, because the rains do happen a lot. It's a very futuristic spaceship-looking stadium. It's gorgeous, and it's cheaper. It has a pool. You can be in the pool on the field level of a player in the middle of a game.
Right.
It's absolutely beautiful there. And that's cheaper than the Rays dented Campbell's soup can looking stadium. I mean, come on. Choice is clear here. Even if I was living in Florida, I'd probably drive the 4 hours across the state to go watch a Miami Marlins game instead of watching a Tampa Bay Rays game.
Or even drive up to Atlanta and check out their new stadium.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you by chance know how long they re-signed their lease for?
Till 2027.
Oh my God. That's
So what's going to happen to the Rays is what happened to the Arizona/Phoenix Coyotes. That's what's going to end up happening is they're going to have such low attendance. You know what this really is? It's Major League.
the Charlie Sheen movie.
Yes, where they just want their attendance to drop so low that the Major League Baseball is going to end up having to buy them out, and then they're going to move the team to Puerto Rico.
Well, you know, actually, that's actually not too far-fetched because Miami is closer to 4 other countries' capitals than it is its own state capital.
Yeah.
What countries?
I would have to look that up. I'm going to let you, because you're our tech guy right there.
Cuba
I'm going to go ahead and
sure.
say Cuba for sure.
Cuba for sure, Puerto Rico.
Puerto Rico's not a country.
It's a territory.
It's got a flag.
That's fair.
But that is just that
It's got its own World Baseball Classic team.
It does. And, you know, it's very interesting how close it is. And we always talk about how, you know, Canada wants another baseball team.
I was about to ask if Tampa Bay had any chance in going up to Canada.
Maybe Vancouver.
Vancouver is a real big thing.
Or Montreal.
Montreal, they want their baseball back. And not to blame Montreal fans, they were there until their owner killed the talent there.
Yeah.
So I don't blame them.
And you want to talk about garbage stadiums.
Yeah.
I mean, Olympic Stadium in Montreal is just, growing up, I watched a lot of Montreal baseball because they were in the Astros division. And so I watched a ton of it, and man, that place was awful.
It was terrible.
It was awful.
Rewatching games whenever they revisit it as expedition games, it's still terrible.
Yeah.
So, and then, you know, and Mexico is really pushing hard for it, which I entirely support. I've always supported Major League Baseball going south of the border. I've really supported them going to Mexico, you know, Puerto Rico.
Really
and those
embrace
kind
the
of
Latin
places.
culture.
Yeah, I really do. I think that's huge. And, but then, like, you have to consider that the altitude of Mexico would make Coors Field look like a pitcher's park.
Well, that's true. Well, that's why I think San Juan is a more likely option,
Right.
than necessarily Mexico City. I don't think they want to go to Mexico with all the crime that's going on there right now. I think they'd rather stay out of Mexico. But
And plus, soccer is huge in Mexico. Like, in a lot of Latin American countries, soccer is the sport, and that is going to be a tough market to penetrate.
that depends on where in Latin America you are. Central
That's fair.
America is a lot of soccer, but in the islands are all baseball, and so is Venezuela.
Right.
If they're in the if they're actually in the Caribbean, it's baseball, and so the Caribbean World Series is a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
It is. Speaking of Caribbean, the country's closer to Florida than its own capital, the Bahamas, 51 miles. Cuba Havana, which is its capital city, 96 miles. And then you might have to check my math on this, but Mexico City, 385 miles.
Wow.
You're going to have to check my math on that.
Yeah, Tallahassee's pretty far from Miami, so.
Yeah.
It is in the Panhandle.
Yeah.
And speaking of dealer, you mentioned that the owner of a certain, what was it, the Montreal baseball team that killed the talent? What was it that you mentioned?
Yes, the owner of the Montreal Expos basically, he said, I can't afford this anymore, and got rid of everybody. I mean, think about this. Pedro Martinez, Randy Johnson, Vladimir Guerrero, I'm trying to think who else. El Presidente, Dennis Martinez. I know he's not a Hall of Famer, but he was a dang good player. Larry Walker, who should be a Hall of Famer, but he's not going to get in. He got rid of all of those guys.
The reason I bring this up is that when it comes to managing a team, how much of it do you really think comes down to the owner? And my case in point I'm going to bring up here is a basketball team, the Los Angeles Clippers. They had the whole fiasco with their previous owner, how he made those remarks, and then he was forcibly removed. And then their new owner...
And sold his business for $2.1 billion. I just want to point that out.
Yeah.
Who lost on that deal?
Yeah, I'm sure he's doing just fine. But he got replaced by former Microsoft executive Steve Ballmer, and he's kind of re-energized that team to where they're playoff contenders once again. So I want to pose the question to you. Whenever a baseball or any sports franchise suffers, like in Tampa Bay, for example, how much of that can you put on the owner?
Well, first thing, with the Clippers, one thing you do have to take into the fact is they underachieved the last 4 or 5 years, too. Even after being bought by Ballmer. You know, when they had Griffin and Paul and DeAndre Jordan, you know, they couldn't get as far as they should. Every year. They were first round, let's go. And
yeah, like the 2000s Mavs.
But I do think an owner can make a difference, positively and negatively. I mean, Dan Snyder is absolute garbage when it comes to the Redskins. But, I meant to say Arthur Blank, who owns the Falcons. Also a bunch of garbage decisions. But he also owns Atlanta United, which just won the MLS Cup. And they fill the Mercedes-Benz Dome where the Falcons play. Every game for soccer in America.
It really comes down to also that their personality can run away players.
Right.
Because
or bring them in.
If you look at Jerry Jones, that's a huge personality. You're not playing just for the Cowboys. You're playing for Jerry's Cowboys.
You're playing for Jerry.
Yeah, you know that. You know you're playing for that. You know, you upset Jerry, you're off the team. Simple as that. And then Mark Cuban, he's a guy who scares opposing refs to even go into this house. He's that guy who's pacing the sideline. He's not afraid to go ahead and take a fine for screaming at a ref.
But as a player, that makes me want to be a Maverick. Is the fact that he's willing to go to those distances, get fined, you know, for sticking up for his guys. Like, you know, when he admitted that they were tanking last year. You know, he got a big time fine for that. It was huge. I think it was like $250,000 for saying that they were tanking. And, you know, as a player, I appreciate an owner that's honest with me, but also I want a guy that I know is going to have my back. Like, look at Dez with Jerry.
Yeah.
I mean, I think Steven wanted to get rid of Dez. Didn't even want to resign him to that contract. And Jerry's like, no, Dez is my guy. We're going to keep him around. But Jerry's the one that ended up having to cut him. And so they can make a difference, but it depends. But they can make positive. They can make negative. They can, you know, they're just like anybody else in an organization, a coach. A player, you know. And the thing about an owner is, since they write the checks, they get final approval on everything.
Speaking of writing checks, dealer, there's been a lot of offseason moves within the Major League Baseball. Why don't you give us the rundown on some of them?
Well, we got today Lance Lynn signing with the Rangers, 3 years, $30 million, which is funny in today's game. That's average pitcher money.
Yeah, and really, it's what he is. I see Lance Lynn as a Colby Lewis or a Giovanni Gallardo.
You know, if we can get if the Rangers get Colby Lewis out of him,
yep, and
take that every day.
If we get early, 2018 Bartolo Colon form with the Rangers, I think we're all going to be happy. Obviously he's not going to outduel Justin Verlander in Houston like Bartolo Colon did magically,
right.
But I mean, Lance Lynn's a guy who's going to go out there. Eat up innings. He's going to give up 3 to 4 runs a game. You're going to get your 6, 7, maybe 7 innings out of him. And, as long as you know going into it, hey, boys, we got to put up 4 or 5 runs additionally just to even get us a win. And I think
very Mike Minor.
Very Mike Minor. It's a great signing because it's affordable, and if he does his job where he goes out there and eats up innings, that is a valuable trade piece next year or even the year after because he's so controllable. He's cheap,
right.
And people last year, they talked about how certain teams that got bit by the injury bug, the Yankees were one of them. Trying just like the Twins that were killing off their fantastic bullpen with their terrible starting pitching. They just need somebody to go out there and throw innings.
Eat innings.
And
give me 200 innings,
yep.
a 4.5 ERA baseball, and we're good to go.
Exactly. And you know what? That's especially if he comes with half of a year and a solid year on top, that's prospects right there for the Rangers.
Right.
That is fresh prospects. And I think everyone can really get behind a guy like that. Right. So, worst comes to worst, we hold on to him and we bring him into the new stadium. He might even pitch better in our new stadium.
Right.
So I'm all aboard this. I mean, what is 10? I don't know exactly, but essentially it's $10 million a year. We've been able to push Prince Fielder's massive contract onto the railroad tracks.
Finally got him.
We're still eating Chu's monstrosity of a contract.
How much is left on that? I think a year.
We were fed with a silver spoon how good Chu was because he went to the All-Star game, just of his hit streak. But realistically, he's not putting out.
I will start you to this day. They should have traded him that moment.
And then we're you're sitting there and Bell trades contracts off.
3 baseballs. Done.
Good. Take it. So, the stove's hot, so we're going to see what happens with, people like Nomar Mazar. Maybe we'll get rid of him. Maybe we'll get rid of Joey Gallo. Pray to God, send Joey Gallo away. Get rid of Chris Davis 2.0. Okay. But anyway, moving on here. We got 2 people here making a lot of waves in the MLB world. What do you think about Machado and Harper?
The fact that they're not signed yet, and I think they're asking for too much.
I agree. As a fan, if I was put in the spot, I would sign neither of those. Not even if I was a competing team or a rebuilding team. Because Machado's comments about not hustling out every play, he's off the team. Simple as that. Cut. And I'm not going to go out and sign mega millions to a 243 average Bryce Harper hitting guy. Look, he knew it was a contract year. And his team, although it was a dumpster fire at times, you want to see a good player that you throw mega millions at that fights for his team that year. Whether it be a contract year or the team is just struggling to get into the playoffs, which they were last year.
Right.
He did nothing.
Well, they played in a garbage division. They had a chance to win that division, even up to the last couple of weeks.
They should have won that. And Bryce Harper never
running away.
And I don't like to see that on a contract year. So I'm going to go, I don't want any of them.
Well, and part of it, too, I think baseball's kind of corrected itself. You saw this last year where they're just not going to give these huge, long-term deals anymore. They're just not going to do it. They don't work out. There are very few that are actually good deals or work out for either side. Well, I get one side. But, they're just going to, look at Albert Pujols. All that guy has done is eat their cap, or not cap, it's not cap, but eat the money they can spend on other guys, and he's been garbage.
He's going to turn into the next Josh Hamilton for them. He's just going to sit on his mega millions and do nothing. Because, come on. Who says Albert Pujols is going to make the All-Star game coming up next year? No one in 2019. How about All-Star game 2020? Nobody wants Pujols in that time. But, and then, we see a lot of teams recognizing that they're not going to throw out the major cash. We're not going to talk about what's going on with the Phillies. They're throwing money at dumpster fires, but whatever. So we're going to slide right on here, and we're going to talk about...
You mentioned no long-term deals and throwing money at things. What do you think about Patrick Corbin of the Diamondbacks signing a 6-year, $140 million deal with the Nationals, Bryce Harper's team?
Yeah, no, it's if you have a refreshed baseball mindset and you look at what the Nationals are. The Nationals at its core are still a very good baseball team. They're closer to contention than rebuilding. And that allows them, if they do decide to rebuild, they have a guy who can help anchor that rotation for a little bit longer through the rebuilding period, or even make them contender next year. They see themselves as contenders.
Because don't forget you're throwing that in with Strasburg and
Scherzer.
And Scherzer. So.
Yeah, I mean, and they just traded Tanner Roark.
No, that's right.
So Tanner's gone. He's going off to the Reds. So they feel comfortable where they're at. I mean, realistically, which, the Mets are making big moves. The Braves are making big moves, signing the AL, MVP with Josh Donaldson. So they're getting better. You got the Phillies throwing money at everybody right now. And
right.
So, I mean, every team's trying to get better in that division, except for Miami. But...
The Fighting Derek Jeters.
Yeah. So I think that everyone's getting, we're going to see some interesting MLB things coming up here. We're going to see a new NL East for sure.
Oh, the NL East last year was a joke. This year it's actually going to be a very competitive division. And I think the Nationals may be better off without Harper. All the hype, people talking about it all the time. If he had signed maybe before the season last year, I think things might have been different. But that kind of stuff wears on a team. They don't want to hear about the same guy every day. Well, what do you think they're going to do with Bryce? What do you think they're going to do with Bryce? I don't care. He's going to do something next year. Leave me alone.
Yeah, I don't care either because from the Nationals owner, I see it that we were a team that was on the cusp of being on the cusp of making the playoffs. And we had our all-star super stud hit 240 for us, and he almost got into more fights than any of his seasons before with his running his mouth and his lack of a defensive ability in right field. So I mean, I'm letting that walk.
Right.
I'm just simple as that. I'm gonna let him walk. You want to go throw money?
I'll take my supplemental first-round pick, and we'll move on.
Yep. So I mean, and also moving on, we got some new MILB team names. So we got 5 of them here. And I just kind of want to get your guys' opinion on what you guys think about it.
You mean like better than the Rubber Ducks?
The Aiken Rubber Ducks, yes. So we got five new ones here.
Real team.
We got 5 new ones here. And we're going to say thumbs up, thumbs down. Okay? The Rocky Mountain Vibes.
I like that, actually.
Vibes?
The Rocky Mountain Vibes.
I actually like that.
Okay.
I like that too, actually.
So we're going to say thumbs up, thumbs medium, thumbs down. What do you do? Thumbs up?
I'll give a thumbs up.
I'll give it a thumbs up.
Okay. All right. I'm going to actually say it's a medium. I'm not sold on it. Right. it doesn't strike me as like, wow, that's my team. It's the vibes, but it's kind of like it's unique. It's unique. So we got one here.
A little more chill for the Colorado lifestyle.
Vegas changed it from the 51, the Aliens, to the Las Vegas Aviators.
Thumbs down. It's an immediate thumbs down for me.
Yeah, it's kind of a down for me as well.
Okay, I'm going to say thumbs down for leaving the 51s because that was such a really cool.
It's unique and it's.
There's a lot you can do with that, like mascot wise, merchandise wise. I mean, it's Aliens for crying out loud.
Right.
We have a team going from AA to AAA, San Antonio, and they're going to
change from the missions.
Yep. And so they're changing it up a little bit. Any guesses on what they're going to go to?
The Alamos, because you mentioned missions.
Used to be
the missions.
Right, because the Alamo building is a mission.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going with the Banditos.
Right now, actually, it says that it's going to stay the missions, but they're going to change the name here soon. So,
is there a contest going on for it?
There is a contest, and they're trying to change the name.
Okay. Please tell me Banditos is one of the options.
But we do have another Texas team name change here.
Do you know who they're going to be? The minor league team for? AAA team for?
Brewers. The Milwaukee Brewers. Maybe something feeds into that.
I've seen a ton of missions games, so I was curious.
Yeah, I've been there. Wolf Stadium.
Garbage.
Not much going on there. No, very terrible.
I'm going to submit my submission for the team change name to the Batty Boys.
Okay.
Yeah,
that's his Mavericks bias.
Mavericks bias. No, because baseball, Batty Boys.
I'm gonna
find the Swingy Boys. How about that? That makes more sense.
Okay. I'm gonna go ahead and throw it into a little Prohibition throwback there, and little Brewers. So
the Bootleggers.
The Bootleggers. That'd be
Bootleggers.
the Texas Bootleggers. That sounds like a home run to me.
I'm gonna go with Mexican Standoff.
The San Antonio, they were known as the Flying Chanclas on Hispanic Heritage Night on Thursday nights.
Really?
Yeah. And their motto, or their logo, is actually a flip flop flying through the air.
I just want to point out that the San Antonio Missions have a mascot that is a jalapeno.
Yep.
Named Balapeño.
Oh my God.
He's dressed like Davy Crockett.
He has his own PR guy too.
Well, so in another Texas one we got here, we got the Amarillo Sod Poodles.
One more time?
Amarillo Sod Poodles.
What's a sod poodle?
It looks to be like a little critter poking through the ground. And he's wearing a cowboy hat.
So like a meerkat?
Yeah, let's see what a sod poodle.
Because I'm hearing poodle and I immediately think of the dog, but then you say sod poodle, I'm thinking,
Bug.
Yeah, like, honestly, when I hear Amarillo, I honestly have to stop myself from saying armadillo. So
sod poodles are, it's an old settler's term for creatures that would disturb their stuff that would, their crops. So it's an old any animal essentially that would destroy their crops.
Oh, so like moles and such.
Exactly.
I see.
And the logo is, I think it's actually pretty cool. It's got a little Texas flair to it. So there's your sod poodles.
That's actually a really well designed logo. I like that.
I do like the logo, but it's still a thumbs down for me.
Okay, I'm gonna say thumbs down the sod poodles also.
And the logo made me switch from a thumbs down to a thumbs medium.
Okay.
Because sometimes logos and designs can do that.
Oh, absolutely.
We got the
Cars.
Fayetteville Woodpeckers is a new minor league team.
I mean, merchandising to high school kids will be amazing.
Yes.
Elaborate.
Well, the Peckers.
Go on.
I mean, have you seen Superbad, right? I mean, they just can't stop drawing peckers.
I am a fan of Fast Times at Ridgemont High. Thank you.
So I absolutely love their Fayetteville Woodpeckers bird with a bat logo.
That is a pretty sweet logo, actually.
I
like those colors too.
The tip of the bat even has a little bit of the wood pecked out of it.
Yeah,
it sure does.
That's creative. That's a thumbs up for me.
Yeah, thumbs up.
I'm going medium.
Okay. And then now the last one here is actually a joke from Guardians of the Galaxy. How many of y'all have seen that?
I have.
I have as well.
So they created a team called the Trash Pandas.
Hey man, you'd be surprised what teams are named. I mean, the team in Albuquerque is named after the Simpsons.
Yeah, they are. So
Really?
Yep, they're the Albuquerque Isotopes.
here it is: the Rocket City Trash Pandas. It's a raccoon in a trash can with a calculator on his chest, essentially. So there you go. You have your Rocket City Trash Pandas.
I'm not gonna lie. Hold on, go back. I really like the one that looks like the Blue Jays picture.
Okay, yeah.
Right here.
Okay. Oh, I don't think that's actually the legitimate one, though. Oh, but we do actually have the official logos for the Rocky Mountain Vibes here. We have a s'mores guy on fire. We have a marshmallow on fire and another marshmallow with a bite taken out of it on fire.
You know, when I hear Rocky Mountain Vibes, I think of like those 1960s Volkswagen buses.
Yeah. I'm driving a Vibe.
It makes me think of John Denver.
Okay.
By the way, Texas Tech alum. Just had to throw that in there.
So we're going to move on to our next topic here. We're going to talk about expansion. Notably, the NHL going to Seattle. What are your initial thoughts? Seattle, Vegas just got their NHL franchise. Thankfully, they're going to be protected of the expansion draft. I mean, you can't just pick off an expansion team already. But so what are your thoughts about that? Seattle's going to come in. They're going to get to pick off the teams. How are they going to do? What are your thoughts?
There really wasn't another place to put a team. Unless you maybe put a second one in Montreal. I know Seattle's awfully close to Vancouver, but they are different countries. So it's not exactly. I think Seattle should have got a basketball team before but Seattle has some of the best fans in the country.
Here's the thing about the basketball point. I feel like this is like the winter sports trying to figure out, okay, can we have a successful recurring what's the word I'm looking for here? Continuously successful hockey team in Seattle. And if that goes well, then I feel like the NBA is going to use that as a perfect excuse to bring basketball back to Seattle.
Well, did you see today that the Suns owner was threatening to move to Seattle?
I did not.
Yeah. He said if they don't build him a new stadium, he's moving to Seattle.
What I'm curious about is that you said there's no other place to put it, a new expansion NHL team. Why not Houston?
I think it would be okay in Houston. Kansas City kind of fits in there as well. They support their minor league teams pretty well. I feel like hockey's such a northern sport, and they've been really grasping at some straws, trying to reach down here in the South. And it's done a good job most places. The Vegas having a really good year last year helped them a lot. But, look at Arizona. They've been owned by the NHL for 3 or 4 years now. And
do you think that would be the case if the Coyotes were actually good?
They have been good. They've had some good years in there. I think, it's in the middle of a desert. And one thing, the reason why people watch sports is because they play them.
Right.
And when you can't just go and play your sport. Now, it's really grown up here in the South, In Houston, they have a couple aerodromes where you can actually go play. I knew a buddy played down there, but you just can't do it whenever you want. You can't go play a pickup game of hockey pretty much whenever you want to.
So what do you think about Atlanta losing their team?
Twice.
Yeah. Atlanta lost their NHL franchise, and here we are adding another one. Is the talent becoming too saturated, or can we actually just move Phoenix to Seattle?
The biggest problem with Atlanta was it was the wrong socioeconomic demographic for what hockey is. Okay? Not going to expand too much into what the reasoning behind that, but Atlanta's not a hockey town. Okay?
Sure.
It's too southern. It's too, in southern ways. Dallas was able to respond a little better to them coming down because Dallas is more of a metropolitan city. Atlanta's a super metropolitan city. That's not a good argument. But Dallas has a lot of New York in it. It's a lot more modern. Even compared to Houston,
I think the only thing that, I agree with a lot of those points, but I think that you have your black sheep outlier of all that, and that's Tampa Bay. And the weird thing about Tampa Bay is that the Tampa Bay Lightning are phenomenal at hockey. The Tampa Bay Rays, even though they fire sale their team, they're competitive in a very tough division, you know. And then you also got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who are decent enough to go watch. You know, you're not sitting there going, "Why are we here?"
Their owner also owns Manchester United,
so I mean, you know, and Tampa Bay. You say you think the Tampa Bay City, and you say what sports culture belongs here. No one thinks hockey.
But they've been successful with their teams, but they do not draw crowds. That's the issue that business-wise these teams have to just, you know, even Miami deals with them. I mean, the Panthers don't do well in attendance, even when they are good. I don't know what it is about Florida. Maybe it's because everybody from Florida is from somewhere else and they're fans of other teams. I think that's part of it. You know, everybody that lives in the Tampa area is from New York, so they're all Rangers fans. They're not Lightning fans.
Right.
I mean, that's why if you go to a Rays-Yankees game, you're going to think you're at a Yankees game.
Yeah, right. Well, the NHL and I guess you could say the fan bases have submitted a few team name possibilities for Seattle. So
I heard about this. They actually reserved the rights to the websites for these team names.
So we're going to kind of rattle them off. It's going to be rapid fire. We can just kind of see if you guys got any names that stick out to you. So we got Seattle Emeralds, Totems, Rainers, Evergreens, Kraken, Renegades, Sea Lions, Firebirds, Cougars, Eagles, Seals, Whales, and Sockeyes.
I really like the Emeralds.
The Seattle Emeralds.
I do. I actually like to do this. I like the Kraken.
Yeah, I agree. I think the Seattle Kraken and the Emeralds, you can kind of stick with the Seattle color scheme.
Right.
Because the Mariners and the Seahawks, they actually kind of got a similar color scheme. And if they continue that, kind of like a Pittsburgh where everything
Even if
is...
you throw in the Sounders.
Yeah, if you keep the town's color scheme, I love that. They're doing what they do in Pittsburgh, and that'd be great.
Yeah, and even when they still had the Supersonics in Seattle, it wasn't exactly a similar color scheme, but green was a good chunk of their uniform.
Yeah, green and gold and some red. Kind of like this section.
I really don't mind the Emeralds. I don't understand the Totems, but the Rainers, that kind of makes sense.
Right, yeah, really. Well, my only issue with that is they have a minor league baseball team called the Tacoma Rainiers.
Exactly, Rainers, yeah.
And so...
What were the other names after Rainers?
Rainers, the Evergreens?
That was the other one I was looking at. I kind of like the Evergreens.
I'm a thumbs medium on that one.
I kind of like the Evergreens. Especially because you could easily stick with the color scheme.
You could easily stick with the color scheme. Yeah. And then you get the Sea Lions. That's a thumbs up for me.
That's a thumbs medium.
I'm not a big fan of sea creatures other than the Kraken.
Okay.
Being
I think the Sea Lions
especially
also...
the tuna.
Maybe my head's a little bit too minor league there.
Yeah, the internet...
Firebirds, that's a definite thumb down.
Yeah.
Firebirds what?
Firebird does not make sense. Maybe Detroit, but that's the only country.
I mean, Eagles make sense, but it's so overdone.
No, the Eagles, no. The Cougars, no. And the Seals, which is a throwback, but no.
But that was San Francisco.
We gotta let it die, guys. It's time to move on. And we got the Whales, and we had the Hartford Whalers. Now we got the Whales.
Yeah.
Come on, no. And then the Sockeyes. That, you know what that is? That's somebody on the internet who wanted to put Hockey McPuckface or something. and he just hit autocorrect. It picked Sockeyes, and he's like, "Wow, it accepted it. Send it." And that's how you end up with the Trash Pandas and the Sockeyes and everything else,
right?
With the crazy names. So it's not a good idea.
No, I don't want my team named after tuna.
So you're the GM. You're looking at this list. You're looking at what horrendous thing the internet has slaughtered your team name. Who you going with?
I'm still going the Emeralds. If from the GM's perspective, that's a real easy color scheme. You could have a yearly, like, you know how the Rangers recently, the Texas Rangers, had a Beatles night?
Yeah.
Well, you could do a yearly Wizard of Oz night because Emerald City. And From a GM's perspective, there's a lot you can do with that merchandising-wise, and it's a real easy transition to make, I believe, with the already established color schemes of the other teams that Seattle's had in the past and present and current.
Yeah.
It's all about the Kraken for me.
All right. So, with that, my name's Mickey, and we shall say goodnight for y'all.
My name's Dealer. I'm dealing my last hand.
This is Coolhand. Y'all stay cool and have a great week.
Thanks for listening to the Backyard Bullshit podcast. We'll catch you next time.